There comes a moment in life you realize your child no longer looks at you with the eyes they once did. Not with contempt, not even defiance, just a quiet absence, like a soft door gently closing between two rooms where you used to live together. You call and they answer out of obligation. You offer your help and it's met with an exhale, not gratitude. You speak, but your words drift through the air, untouched. It's not anger that you feel. No, anger would mean they're still engaged. This is something colder, something lonelier. Indifference. And that, my friend, is a grief no one prepares you for. Hi, it's Vernon again. Today's video is about what to do when your grown children no longer respect you or act like you don't exist. Being ignored doesn't mean you've lost your worth. It means you've reached a crossroads, one where silence can either become your prison or your power. It means it's time to remember it and stand quietly in your own strength. So if these words reach a part of you that others no longer see, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Sometimes wisdom needs a voice, and sometimes that voice just needs to be heard again. Come sit with me for a while. Let's talk about the first quiet things I've learned to do, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, when your children no longer offer you the respect you once gave so freely. 1. Choose dignity over reaction. When your adult child disrespects you through words, distance, or silence, your first instinct may be to react, to raise your voice, to remind them of all you've done. That impulse is natural, but what I've learned is this: in the very moments we feel most disregarded, our response becomes a mirror, not of them, but of us. Dignity is not a passive silence, nor is it weakness. It's the quiet power of restraint. It's choosing to stay centered in who you are, even when others forget. When you refuse to match their coldness or disrespect, you're not surrendering. You're reclaiming the space between reaction and response. And in that space lives wisdom. So, what does dignity look like, practically? Sometimes it means walking away from an argument you know you could win, but would cost you peace. Sometimes it means speaking one calm sentence and letting it echo, rather than flooding the room with your pain. And sometimes it simply means not chasing after the validation they refuse to offer. There is a difference between presence and pressure. The more you chase respect, the further it seems to drift. But when you embody it, quietly, without spectacle, something changes. You become the stillness they cannot shake, the lighthouse they can drift from, but not forget. Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." I believe choosing dignity is one of the most courageous acts of all, especially when your heart feels bruised and unseen. And here's the paradox. When you stop demanding respect and start embodying self-respect, others begin to feel the shift. Not always right away, but over time, your energy speaks louder than your words ever could. You don't need to fight to be seen. You need only to remember who you are and refuse to become what disappointment tries to make you. Dignity is not what they give you. It's what you refuse to lose. So, hold your ground, not with noise, but with stillness, not to change them, but to stay true to yourself. Now, let's talk about the next quiet truth I've learned through my 20 years parenting. 2. Practice detachment, not disconnection. I remember a moment with my son, a bright boy, sharp-tongued, independent. We were sitting across the table, and I had just shared a memory from his childhood, something I thought would make him smile. Instead, he sighed, looked at his phone, and said, "Dad, not now." There was no malice, just that same quiet absence I've come to know too well. And in that moment, something in me wanted to snap, say something that would sting, that would remind him I deserved better. But I didn't. Instead, I nodded, and I chose to feel the sting fully, but not let it own me. That's the beginning of detachment, not withdrawing love, but releasing control over how it's received. According to a 2021 study from the University of Toronto, emotionally mature adults who practice healthy detachment, defined as the ability to maintain inner peace regardless of others' behavior, report significantly lower stress and better family relationships over time. Not because the other person changed, but because they did. Detachment is not disconnection. It's choosing to let go of expectations, not of care. It's saying, "I love you, even if you don't love me the way I wish." It's refusing to tie your worth to someone else's mood, attention, or approval. And that's hard, especially when it's your own child. But it's also necessary. Because when you detach from needing their respect, you create space for your own healing. You move from needing to prove your role to simply living it with quiet confidence. So I ask you, have you been holding on to a version of your child that no longer exists? Are you still trying to earn a love that has changed shape? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and sometimes your story will reach someone who feels too ashamed to share theirs. Now, if that stirred something in you, stay with me, because the next truth I've learned is about reclaiming something most of us gave away far too easily. Number 3. Stop negotiating your worth. When did you start believing that your value depended on how your children treated you? That question can be hard to sit with, but it's where real change begins. Because the longer we try to earn back respect through pleasing, explaining, or proving ourselves, the further we drift from something sacred, our inner knowing that we were always enough. You don't have to make a case for your existence. You don't have to keep revisiting old conversations, hoping this time they'll see you differently. The truth is, worth isn't something you win. It's something you remember. And remembering takes strength. It takes choosing not to perform, not to soften your truth just to avoid their discomfort.
It means recognizing that your role as a parent has evolved, and so must your self-perception. You are not just who you were to them. You are who you continue to be to yourself. Negotiation implies there's a table, a contract, a bargain. But when it comes to your dignity, there is no deal to be made. You don't need to shrink yourself to keep the peace. You don't need to wear guilt like armor. Let go of that weight. Let them feel the absence of your constant explanation. Some doors only open when you stop knocking. And no, this isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's the quiet act of honoring yourself so deeply that others eventually must decide, either to rise to meet you or to fall away. So ask yourself, not with anger, but with honesty, what have I been trying to prove, and what would happen if I stopped? Take your time, let that sit, because where we're going next, it's not about letting go of your child, it's about learning how to hold yourself again.
4. Rebuild your inner home. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, and I've come to understand just how true it is. Because when respect fades from the outside, many of us go searching for answers, validation, a reason why. But the healing doesn't come from outside. It begins when we turn inward and start tending to the parts of ourselves we abandoned while trying to be everything for others. So many of us have spent our lives building homes for everyone else, making space, making meals, making peace. But in all of that, we forget to build a home within ourselves, a place where our own needs, thoughts, and truths are not only welcome, but listened to. To rebuild your inner home is not some abstract idea. It is as real as breathing slower, listening deeper, and asking yourself, what do I need today that doesn't depend on someone else giving it to me? It's not selfish, it's sacred. Because the more rooted you are within, the less the winds outside can shake you. This rebuilding might look like solitude, not loneliness, but solitude. It might look like reconnecting with old joys, journaling your truth, or finally allowing yourself to grieve. Not just who your child became, but who you were when they still needed you. You are not just a parent, you are a person, and that person still deserves warmth, attention, and respect, especially from yourself. We spent years teaching our children to come home to us. Now it's time to come home to ourselves. And when you begin to live from that place, when your peace no longer depends on their approval, you'll find something unexpected, a lightness that doesn't need permission to shine. Of course, rebuilding takes time, but you don't have to finish today. You just have to begin. And maybe, just maybe, what comes next isn't about rebuilding alone. It's about remembering you were never truly empty to begin with.
Number 5. Redefine closeness. We often think love has to look a certain way. Daily calls, heartfelt thank yous, arms around shoulders. But what if closeness in this season of life asks to be redefined? Not every bond remains the same. Some soften, some stretch, some go quiet for a while. That doesn't mean they're broken. It means they've changed shape. And the sooner we accept that love is not always loud, the sooner we stop chasing echoes of what used to be. There is grace in letting relationships evolve without forcing them into past forms. There is peace in understanding that presence doesn't always mean proximity, and that emotional closeness isn't always measured by how often they call, but by how open your heart remains when they do. It may no longer be your voice that guides them daily, but your steadiness still matters. Your example still echoes. The dignity with which you hold space for yourself becomes the quiet permission they one day remember to give themselves. So let go of the version of closeness that hurts you. Make space for a softer one that doesn't expect but accepts, one that listens without needing to be needed. There is a kind of closeness that's born not from control or constant contact, but from compassion, especially the kind you offer to yourself. And as you move forward, carry this with you. Love can still be real, even when it looks different. And you are still worthy of love, even when it isn't returned in the way you hoped. Don't measure your relationships by how they used to feel. Measure them by how peacefully you can hold them now. Be gentle with yourself. You've come a long way, further than you think.
If you've made it this far, it means something in this message touched a place in you that needed to be seen. And I hope, in some quiet way, it reminded you that even when others forget your value, you can still remember it yourself. You've heard a lot today about dignity, about detachment, about self-worth, rebuilding, and redefining what love looks like in the years when things aren't as simple or as warm as they once were. But none of this is about giving up. It's about returning to yourself, to your truth, and to a kind of peace that no one, not even your children, can take from you. We're not here to fix the past. We're here to live well with what is, to choose strength over reaction, clarity over control, and compassion over resentment. And in doing so, maybe we teach them something too. Not through lectures, but through the quiet way we carry ourselves forward. So keep showing up for you. Speak kindly to yourself, honor your limits, and let the version of love that fits this season find you. If something I said today gave you pause, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who might need your words. And if this kind of quiet strength speaks to you, consider subscribing to my channel. Not for me, but for the part of you that still believes in growing, even when it hurts. Until next time, take care of your heart. It's done more for others than they'll ever know. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video. And maybe, just maybe, what comes next isn't about rebuilding alone. It's about remembering you were never truly empty to begin with.